If anyone were to claim otherwise, I would have them pay for insulting your honor with blood. Your conduct in this regard have always been spotless. Nevertheless, given your eminent position, a simple show of attention on your part is enough to erode the propriety of junior officers, inflate their sense of self-importance, and undermine discipline. That you distinguish some of them and know them by name is tantamount to walking around the officers' deck handing out gifts to officers who have caught your eye. It fills those you set apart with ambition and audacity, makes them stand out among the rest. Enforcers are meant to be faceless servants, fighters ready to die, their fate entrusted to their commander and no one else. That is the sole foundation of order.
Lieutenant Bent, would you say that Seneschal has singled you out from your peers in any way?
Lord Captain, I swear that Seneschal Werserian has never granted me any privileges, never once advocated for me, nor facilitated my promotions. Although, he is the man who convinced me to become an officer in the first place. He has offered me extensive guidance in my service, for which I am grateful to him. And while not all my fellows receive such attention, I know of at least a dozen fine officers whom the Seneschal keeps in his sights to ensure that they continue to strive.
To prepare new generations of the dynasty's servants, to instruct them, and to separate those with potential from those who have exhausted it, that is my duty as Seneschal. This ship has bays worth of pilots, enforcers, officers, technicians, and stewards whom I have raised personally. By the throne, every third person standing on this bridge right now was my student at one point.
I see.
Evidently, my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I have only myself to blame, I suppose.
I've heard enough. I will go down to the lower decks and deal with the problem personally. I'm certain the Seneschal was acting within his authority, but I will verify the soundness of his decision for myself. This matter is not worth for rogue traders' time. Now we will go there.
Praise the Emperor.
Vent cannot contain her relief.
Thank you, Lord Captain.
Abelard grits his teeth slightly.
An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you.
Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to Depot for myself and see to the expedient resolution of this incident.
I can pick all 6. Good. Look who is it. It's all okay. They don't like him.
Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture, and a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and weariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance.
The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors.
Did you hear? They were shouting your name. The people dared to disrespect the senior officer. Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Of course they were. The organization of the daily, routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavor to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them, you are akin to a creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the man whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering a base heating.
The people dare to disrespect the senior officer.
They would not have the chance to express such disrespect if we were not here, and if the situation had been dealt with by the relevant officers.
Abelard grimaces.
It is a junior officer's worst failing, to pass problems up the chain of command. I have never been able to abide it. I shall say it again, it was a mistake to come here on Lieutenant Vent's whim, Lord Captain. I must admit that the lieutenant is by no means the worst material for an officer.
Abelard adds peevishly.
But, in the name of Terra, the girl is the same age as my eldest great-granddaughter. And she has the gall to tell me how to manage the lower decks and hunt down cultists. It will be another 20 years at least before she can be trusted to act without oversight.
Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation material. This must be where the workers sleep between shifts.
Lower deck rebel. Valve. It's just a valve. Rebel.
I was born in this sector, and it looks like I'll die here too.
Huh.
None shall stand in my way.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you.
The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's base. Lieutenant Avril Vent of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of her superior, Master-at-Arms Jocasta Sourback, who has arrived clad in armor. Judging by their expressions and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already and has now reached boiling point.
Lieutenant Vent, my patience is wearing thin. I have given you an order. Now get out of my way. I cannot comply with that order, ma'am.
Vent looks shaken, but there is fire in her eyes.
This is my deck and my sector. So long as this area remains under the Lord Captain's special oversight, no action can be taken without my express permission. There are only 3 people who are authorized to make me stand down: the first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself.
So not all my lessons fall on deaf ears.
Abelard mutters in crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Vent, Sourback looming over her, or both.
Your lordship.
Noticing you, the 2 officers snap to attention and salute, their subordinates following suit a moment later.
What's the situation?
Your lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Under control, Lieutenant? I came here to lead an investigative unit, and what do I see? The rabble is on the verge of mutiny. There is nothing to investigate. This simply calls for immediate repressions and firing squads. And you, Vent, are a step away from facing charges yourself.
We encountered some locals on our way here. Their conduct was outrageous. They even tried to throw things at us.
Vent's gaze is full of worry and regret.
The people are getting desperate, clearly. They saw the assault unit, and they decided they had nothing left to lose. I mean, I apologize, Lord Captain. It is outrageous. I'm sure the people simply didn't recognize you. It wouldn't have occurred otherwise. We will deal with them once the current situation is resolved.
Is that all you have to say? Are you sure you are worthy of an officer's rank, Lieutenant Vent?
For a split second, Vent freezes in fear, but she pulls herself together, straightens, and clips out.
Forgive me, Lord Captain. I will take steps to ensure such a thing does not happen again.
I want to speak to the strikers.
Abelard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing.
Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck.
Hope gleams in Lieutenant Vent's eyes.
All right.
Ford Depot 4.
It's about time.
Okay, so
We won't stand for it anymore.
where we go? They are here?
The enforcers have tormented us enough.
Here they are.
A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from the barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. A whisper passes through the crowd, and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you.
Lord Captain. You have come down to us.
Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking?
Striking? That's news to us, why your lordship.
Says a tall, thin man in worker's garb.
All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think.
Shut up, Rivet.
Snaps the old woman, who turns her hostile dark eyes on you.
Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole bays for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers.
The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe.
Ooh, that's not good.
Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself.
It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks, and who grew up amidships and has no fellow feeling toward us.
The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms.
Your lordship, we're no villains here, we're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder, we went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace, without being harassed.
The persecution started apropos of nothing, you say? I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and that there are heretics hiding here. Abelard, do you have anything to add? We were attacked on the way here. Do you explain that? What changes do you want? Okay, we go with a 2.
A cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people, there have been no new faces around. Definitely not. And if there were, we'd be the first to report them.
And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with, nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so fine. I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us.
Oh, yeah. Those boots really were fine. And there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor, the same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are people of faith.
Naive children. Weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the Artenemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? We were told, Holy Sister. But it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my 3rd little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors?
Abelard, do you have anything to add?
I authorized the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me.
Abelard frowns, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence.
Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunken stevedores, they are the enemy and a threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands decisive action.
Sourback, was it really necessary to torture these people with cold?
The rabble understands only one language, Lord Captain, that of violence. As per regulations, should the laborers persist in their unwillingness to cooperate, the next step is limiting air supply and cutting off water, which is almost certain to restore order. The peasants can grumble all they want, but in the end, they are the source of their own misery. All they have to do is bow their heads and fall in line, and the need for punitive measures will disappear.
Ooh, yeah, not good. We were attacked on the way here. How do you explain that?
Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limit, and now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let past.
Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off. But the lower decks are big, I'm sure there are some people who've had just about enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. A death squad has just arrived. It's no wonder folks are lashing out.
Their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack has shocked them.
What changes do you want?
Would you look at this? The exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bilge rats what we want. Well, Here's what we want you to rein in your damned enforcers, to quit turning off the heat, and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms, and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here.
You've gone too far, old Nan. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day's out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbor out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultists' bodies, and we'll talk to them, one lower decker to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves.
You speak for yourself and your clan, and I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before. All because we dared to speak out.
The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds, he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval.
Thoughts, Abelard?
The story about going scavenging for boots and accidentally picking up a heretical amulet doesn't convince me. These people were moments away from rebelling and, possibly, becoming minions of the archenemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently, purely out of their own stupidity, that does not mean they are not tainted with corruption. What begins as petty thievery can turn into a far graver problem. I have seen it before.
Abelard's face darkens momentarily.
In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and his whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of beds like a metal choking vine. So, when it comes to scavengers, malcontents, strikers, or whatever they'll turn into next, my verdict is simple: give them no quarter.
Master at Arms, where do you stand?
Give the rabble a grox, and they will take an agri-world, Lord Captain. They only understand brute force, and will interpret any concession as a sign of weakness. Giving them weapons and recalling the enforcers would be folly. It would only be a matter of time before we had a full-scale mutiny on our hands.
Alright, spreading anarchy on this ship is the first step towards embracing chaos. Putting weapons into the untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands and we will consider the rest. Fine, I give the order for an enforcer to be withdrawn from this sector and you will be given weapons. Let's see how you cope governing yourself and what difference it makes. Oh. You have failed to convince me of your trustworthiness. This unrest ends now. Everyone who was involved will be eliminated. I don't feel like giving them weapons. But okay, let's. But I don't feel like beating them and stopping the water and air and so on. I mean, kids died. Okay, let's go with the 4.
Abelard's face turns stony, and he clenches his jaw. He looks at you, his narrowed eyes glittering with anger. The old woman raises her arms triumphantly.
Good riddance to the executioners. Freedom for Depot 4.
All hail the Lord Captain. All hail. You can count on us, your lordship. We'll find the cultist foulness, if any of our people have taken possession of it.
Where are you going? Ah, okay. Deal with a junior officer subverts. There is a problem on board. Depot. Well, let's go here.
Halt! I noticed something.
What? What do you notice? What? You notice something? Ah. Found this. Okay.
This page is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on strike.
You know, there isn't much we can do here. Valve.
The gauge shows that the steam pressure in this pipe is close to the maximum. However, it does not reach the bars at the other end.
So where you have to go?
Follow my lead!
Everyone is gone. There is no door, nothing.
Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work.
Okay.
This page is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on strike. The heat sink warms the air around it to a scorching temperature. This is the warmest part of the bay. The workers have even dragged deck chairs here.
Do we need to turn the valves?
Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work.
Victory awaits!
Let's go back. I believe we took care of everything. Alright. Then we go back. Oh,
Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses your other companions, saying,
I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment.
Abelard looks at you, and his last vestiges of restraint vanish.
Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtow to the disloyal rabble. Worse still, you put weapons into their hands. Now we do not simply have an untrustworthy mob in the hold, we have a mob that is armed. Next time they decide to start an uprising, it will be far bloodier, that is, of course, if they don't accidentally wipe themselves out first. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the von Valencius Protectorate?
do not speak to your Lord Captain in that tone. Why are you so angry? I solved the problem. There is some truth to your criticism. Let's talk about your role in all this instead. You allowed this revolt to happen. Your action practically guaranteed it would. Well, there is some truth.
I should say so.
Abelard heaves a sigh, but he visibly relaxes.
You simply needed to trust me. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene.
Abelard says irascibly,
Remember Lord Captain Theodora. Do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate as any true strategist and rogue trader ought.
Maybe if Theodora has spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard the ship now, and I will not repeat her mistakes. I would be only too willing to trust in my seneschal and not fill my head with such matters, but the situation had spiraled out of your control, Abelard. Give me a reason why I should continue listening to your advice and trusting your judgment. Now I will go with this.
Abelard looks at you, stunned, and exhales loudly. Then he nods curtly.
I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. And
Abelard stands straight at attention.
I lost my temper, Lord Captain. And I believe I ought to explain myself.
Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him.
The prosperity of the von Valencius Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds, they create order out of anarchy. that creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods, to distant frontiers, on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire Protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly, everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all, the rogue traitor was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue traitor, to aid you to find your footing as quickly as possible. And to do that, I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements.
Theodora trusted in established procedures, and she died. I won't make the same mistakes. If you want to keep building the future of von Valencius Protectorate with me, stop living in the past.
Abelard solemnly inclines his head.
Yes, Lord Captain.
After a moment's silence, he adds, looking at you with interest.
Your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment, should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. And now, please, let us leave the lower decks. If the rogue traitor desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places.
Alright. Let's go back to the bridge and continue our travel to the prison planet, I think is that one. And everybody leveled up. So I cannot do this anymore. Nope. It's up to 55, so agility. Yeah, let's do the agility. Next. And let's see, it's not recommending me anything. I want